Let's go to my first guest. She'll be with me for the first hour. A warm welcome to Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Welcome, Isabel.
Hi, I was just watching the video of that little girl playing a guitar, and honestly, I just fail to understand how anyone can hurt a child at all, never mind do a fraction of what was done to this poor girl. And it always makes you wonder, doesn't it? How did so many different individuals and organizations fail to notice? What's happened to our communities that nobody was remotely aware of what was going on here or was brave enough to do something about it? We know that social services were, in fact, aware of question marks over whether she was going to be looked after properly from a very early stage, I think before she was even born. And yet again and again and again, she was failed. And I think there's a particularly interesting dimension to this, apart from the one that you mentioned, which is really important, you know, the abuse of the system in order to get the right to remain in the UK. The other thing is that she was home educated. And this is a really growing pattern of children being taken out of school and they're not actually being educated at all. This is just feckless parents in many cases. Of course, some brilliant parents provide a fantastic home education, but unfortunately, the system is abused and there is not anywhere near enough monitoring of what is happening to children who are being so-called home educated by parents who are simply not up to being proper parents, never mind also teachers.
So this guy's 42 and was described in this 8-week court case as a serial abuser of vulnerable women. As I say, he came to the UK in 2003 from Pakistan and was on a student's visa. And by 2009, I think he was getting worried about his residency. So apparently he spent all his time trying to hook up with Polish women and managed to, shall we say, nab one, somebody called Olga Domin, then 23. They married in a register office in Surrey. Apparently, after this marriage, Mrs. Domin's mother contacted the police from Poland to say she was concerned about her daughter's safety. A month later, Sharif was convicted of stealing £1,700 from McDonald's, where he'd been working as a manager. He was arrested in 2007 for false imprisonment, theft and criminal damage. This is all before he married and was able to stay. So this is the point. His accuser then was another 18-year-old Polish girl who he'd allegedly been going out with for some time. He locked her in the house, took her passport and smashed her phone, threatened her with a knife, and so on and so forth. 2 years later, another Polish woman emailed the police to say she'd escaped his home and fled back to her country. That was the woman that she married in the end, that he married in the end. Now, my point here is this guy gamed the system. He exploited EU rules, same old story, we've heard it a million times before, to be able to stay in this country. Now, what the authorities do in this country, if it's a marriage, oh, he's married a British citizen, oh, he's married an EU citizen, that's it, game over. Well, I say that they should look into these people. I mean, this was a clear sham marriage. It was described as a sham marriage in the court case. They should look into these people, and if they see all of this background of abusing vulnerable women, torturing them, imprisoning them, stealing quite a lot of money from McDonald's, the guy was, you know, he was a wrong 'un. So they should say, well, we don't care you got married to an EU national. You can't stay. We need to be more flexible with the rules about who we allow to remain in this country.
Of course. I mean, I think that just one of those things should have ruled him out of remaining in our country. To be in the United Kingdom is a massive privilege if you've come in from outside and you don't have any special skills. Clearly, his only special skill was being abusive and torturing women. So if you don't have anything to offer, then at the very least, you need to be 100% law-abiding. I mean, frankly, I wouldn't be letting anyone in who doesn't have anything positive to offer at all, but that's another debate. If we're going to have people allowed to come in and marry someone, and it's clearly a fake relationship, then I think the fact that he'd been in trouble with the law, not once but repeatedly, should have been enough to just for the Home Office to say basically no, we're simply not going to give you permission. And if this really is a love match, well, take your new bride to wherever it is you came from.
Indeed, as we know, he fled to Pakistan but was returned to this country. The stepmother, his current wife, Beinash Batool, she's 30. She was also convicted of killing this poor little kid. She would regularly phone relatives, her sister in particular, to say, oh, he's beating the crap out of her again. That was her exact words. And at one point, she rang her sister to say, oh, my God, he's breaking her arm. And listen to this. And the sister...
I mean, this is just horrific. This is the point I'm making. This isn't just the failings of these awful people. It is also, I'm afraid, all the people who knew about it within their own family. I mean, I don't understand how it is that other relatives of the poor little girl didn't do something. I mean, they cannot have been caring for the child, the wider family, if they didn't intervene. Or was it that they were prevented from access? I don't know, but there are an awful lot of very, very painful questions to ask here. And actually, the Children's Commissioner in this case gave precisely the right response, which is we don't need any more reviews. How many times has this happened? And what happens is the authorities say, they wring their hands and say, lessons will be learned, let's have a review. We don't need any more reviews. What is needed is for those responsible, whether it's social services and wider organisations, to actually act on the recommendations of all the reviews that have followed other appalling cases.
And how do people, I mean, just, as a mother, as a human being, I mean, I'm not known for my bleeding heart, but this is just heartbreak. I mean, how can people do this? Why would you do this to a little kid? I mean, systematically torturing her, wrapping her up in a bag, binding her arms and legs, strangling her. Well, when he killed her, he strangled her until her neck broke, burnt her with an iron, bit her. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on?
I categorically and emphatically disagree with the death penalty. But as you read out that list of things, which I know is only a fraction of what they did, I have to say that it gives me pause and makes me think, actually, in some cases, maybe people do deserve to be executed for behaving in such a way. I really don't agree with the death penalty. But what punishment fits that crime? I don't know. Is there any punishment that could possibly fit the horror of what they inflicted on a vulnerable child?
I'm fairly diffident about the death penalty. I can never quite make up my mind. I'm not sort of foursquare against it or foursquare for it, but I look at this case and I think, well, in what way is the world improved by keeping this piece of work alive? I mean, it's, I think I'm actually being persuaded to support the death penalty right now, having looked at the case, at this particular case. And let me put that out to the audience. I mean, when you see this, when you digest the horror of this story, do you think that for this guy and for monsters like him, that the death penalty should be available to us as a nation as a punishment?